All right, we're going to get started. Hello.
Hello.
We would like to acknowledge that this service is being held by a community that gathers on the stolen traditional lands of the Massachusetts, Nipmuc, Pawtucket, and Wampanoag people. We pay respects to elders who lost their lives in the colonization of this land and recognize that these indigenous tribes are still today facing violations of sovereignty, territory, and water. We also give thanks for the earth we walk upon, the waters, the life-giving plants, and all the earth's creatures, as well as the wind, sun, moon, and stars. We recognize that this is just a first step towards right relationship with Native peoples and healing of the earth. Good morning. And welcome to First Parish Church of Stowe and Acton, FPC, to our members and friends, a welcoming spiritual community. My name is Josh Ledwell, and I serve as Social Justice Chair. If this is your first time with us, we welcome you. Our minister is the Reverend Cindy Lindstrom. Our staff are listed in the order of service. Please feel free to ask any of these people for more information about the church and its programs. We also invite you to check out our webpage for news and information, and you can sign up there for our newsletter and email alerts. For your safety and of those around you, we ask that you please keep your masks on and properly over your nose. Please check with people you're talking to about what distance they would like you to be at, and make sure the air filters are on when you congregate in any room. After the service, it's our custom to have coffee hour. We encourage you to go to Fellowship Hall after the service for conversation and information. And for offsite people, we will have breakout groups following the service. Here are the major announcements. The Assabet Craft Beer and Food Truck Festival at First Parish Church of Stowe and Acton is this Saturday, September 3rd, noon to 4 p.m. Featuring craft brews from Aimee's Tomb Brewing of Maynard, Bull Spit Brewing of Lancaster, and Sterling Street Brewery of Clinton, plus cider, wine, and soft drinks. Food will be from Meat at Slim's, Lala's Napolitan-ish Pizza, Kith and Kin, and New City Micro Creamery. There will be music and children's games, including cornhole and face painting. Admission is $5 per person, free for 12 and under, with drink tickets $5 each. Bingo, anyone? The FPC Supporting Asylum Seekers Task Force is helping their interfaith partner, St. Elizabeth of Hungary and Acton, who are holding a bingo night in support of our Afghan families in Maynard and Lowell. Both families are making great progress in their efforts to gain independence here in the USA. Bingo is Saturday, September 10th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. in Acton. Suggested donation is $20 per person for as many cards as you can handle. See any SAS members for tickets. Is anyone from Supporting Asylum Seekers here today? Yep. All right, so you know who to ask. And now I invite you to take a moment and greet your neighbor.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, Wanda. How you doing?
Hi, Jane. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
Hey, Robin. Maggie's here. You should show Maggie your shirt. No? Okay. I know how much. I never know how much greet your neighbor time is enough greet your neighbor time. Our opening words are attributed to Isak Denisen, but I think it's safe to say that she was not the first to make this connection. The cure for anything is salt water, sweat, tears, or the sea. And our chalice lighting, Josh is going to help us with that. The words of our chalice lighting are from Keepers of Life by Michael J. Caduto. Everything in life is a circle. Everything is alive. The animals, the birds, the plants of the earth and the plants of the seas, the water, the air, and the stones. And everything must be respected. All things are part of earth, which gives us everything we need. When we take from earth, we must give back in return. The medicine circle is the source of our strength. And now if you can please rise, if you are able to in body or spirit, we are going to sing the first hymn, which we have a video for, which is Blue Boat Home, and then we'll follow that with the covenant and affirmation. We need a minute. We need to rewind it now.
As I ply the starry sea.
Okay, yay.
Oh, below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing on.
That's always one of my favorites. And now the covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And we'll sing the affirmation. From all that dwell below the skies, let love and peace arise. Let joyful songs of praise be sung through every land, by every tongue. Thank you. And now Robin will join us for the message for all ages. And Sharon will pull up the pages of the images on the screen. So, ready? Go ahead, Beth.
We are the water protectors. Water is the first medicine, Nokomis told me. We come from water. It nourishes us inside our mother's body as it nourishes us here on Mother Earth. Water is sacred, she said. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. The river's rhythm runs through my veins, runs through my people's veins. My people talk of a black snake that will destroy the land. Spoil the water, poison plants and animals, wreck everything in its path. When my people first spoke of this black snake, they foretold that it wouldn't come for many, many years. Now the black snake is here. Its venom burns the land, coursing through the water, making it unfit to drink. Take courage. I must fight, keep the black snake away. For my village's water, I must rally my people together. To stand for the water, to stand for the land, to stand as one against the black snake. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. It will not be easy. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves, the winged ones, the crawling ones, the four-legged, the two-legged, the plants, the trees, the rivers, the lakes. The earth. We are all related. Tears like waterfalls stream down, tracks down my face, tracks down my people's faces. Water has its own spirit, Nokomis told me. Water is alive. Water remembers our ancestors who came before us, she says. We stand with our songs, our drums. We are still here. We are stewards of the earth. Our spirits have not been broken. We are water protectors. We stand. The black snake is in for the fight of its life. And that's the end.
Thank you, Robin. That was lovely. And now we will do our joys and sorrows. And I know we have at least one live mic. All right. We can light one final candle for all of those joys and concerns and sorrows that we hold in our hearts today. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Kris Wile, who is a member of the steering committee of MARA, the Maynard Anti-Racism Alliance. She joins me on the steering committee and is a really vital member. And so she's going to talk about MARA.
Good morning. Maynard Anti-Racism Alliance, or MARA, acknowledges that racism against people of color exists and is unjust and harmful. We are a group of Maynard community members dedicated to learning with and supporting individuals in our community who seek to confront and take action to dismantle systemic racism. Currently, MARA has several subcommittees that focus on areas like policing, schools and curriculum, Indigenous justice, and more. These committees meet regularly, maybe monthly, to address town policies and to plan for events and education. In the past few years, MARA has funded educational film screenings and speakers for the greater Maynard community, addressing important issues like missing and murdered Indigenous people and implicit bias in schools. MARA successfully lobbied to change the town and school calendars to reflect Indigenous Peoples' Day. MARA encouraged the school committee and the select board to adopt their anti-racist statements. And MARA also organizes fun events to celebrate and educate, for instance, Martin Luther King Day and the Indigenous Peoples' Day. There's much to do. So if you would like to join us in our grassroots efforts to make hopefully lasting local change, you can sign up to volunteer or start by joining our mailing list after the service. Thank you.
Thank you, Kris. And now we would like to share our gifts. This summer, we share our weekly offering with 3L Place, Cultivate Care Farm, and MARA, the Maynard Anti-Racism Alliance. We are going to show a video for music during this time by Ray Zaragoza. The song is called In the River, a protest song. Ray Zaragoza is an Indigenous performer who wrote this song for Standing Rock while they were fighting Line 3. So it's really beautiful, and please take a listen. Thank you.
There's gotta be some hope. There's gotta be some hope. There's gotta be some way for you to send your dogs away and to leave the land alone. gotta be a crime. Somewhere in your heart you'll find we're fighting for our right to keep the future bright and protect the ones we love. In the river is our sisters and our brothers. We are camping out for each other. We are stronger when we band together, and we're standing up for the water. Don't poison the future away. You've gotta have a soul. Mother Earth protects us all. If you treat her with disrespect, then what message have you left for your children and their home? In the river is our sisters and our brothers. We are camping out for each other. We are stronger when we band together, and we're standing up for the water. Don't poison the future away. How can you take and not appreciate the soil? Don't let this black snake contaminate our drinking water. This is for our sons and daughters. In the river is our sisters and our brothers. We are camping out for each other. We are stronger when we band together, and we're standing up for the water. Don't poison the future away.
Thank you for your gifts.
Started off all jiggly and fat, and I hated the way it felt. And I knew where I wanted to go.
Well, with that, a reading from To Be a Water Protector by Winona LaDuke. Winona LaDuke is an amazing activist, and if you're not familiar with her, I highly recommend you look up the work that she does. She says, the practice of reconciliation is not just about lip service. It is about transforming the exploitative relationship between the government and Indigenous peoples, or for that matter, the multinationals that are here and Indigenous peoples. It's about a better future. That future has to have justice at the center of it. Justice for the earth and justice for Native people. That future is made by people and is formed by the natural world, moments in time, and often with the arrival of disruptive technology. Today, disruptive technology should be renewable energy. But as Tony Surham insists, disruptive technologies don't implement themselves. They must be powered by people. And now I'd like to invite Nicole Day to speak about the Indigenous Peoples Subcommittee in Mara. I believe she's joining us remotely. Maggie, is that correct? So if we could highlight Nicole Day, and she can tell us about Indigenous Peoples Subcommittee.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Okay,
you.
All right. Kihani Wash Day, good morning. Mara Indigenous Peoples Day Subcommittee began with the intent of changing the Maynard town and public school calendars to reflect Indigenous Peoples Day instead of Columbus Day. We collaborated with UAIN, United American Indians of New England, to present to both the select board and the school committee. And after a year more of planning and meetings, we were finally successful in changing both calendars and planning for curriculum changes in all three Maynard schools. The IPD subcommittee has worked to bring Indigenous educator Claudia Tekenaru Foxtree to speak to the greater Maynard community about implicit bias and the need to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. We've hosted film screenings of Gather, a documentary about Indigenous food sovereignty, and Bring Her Home, about the epidemic of missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people across the US and Canada. We are currently working to bring the second annual Indigenous Peoples Day to Maynard. Last year's celebration included Indigenous music and dancing vendors, art projects, and more on Maynard's Memorial Green. Plans for this year are still to be determined, but if you would like to volunteer or participate, please make sure you get on our mailing list after the service, and we would greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Nicole. And now we have hymn number 173 in the blue, the teal hymnal, The Earth is Our Mother, and we'll have an accompanying video with that as well.
The earth is our mother, we must take care of her. The earth
Is our mother.
must take care of her. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan.
Oh, she's going back. There we go.
The earth is our mother, we must take care of her. The earth is our mother, we must take care of her. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. Her sacred ground we walk upon, with every step we take. Her sacred ground we walk upon, with every step we take. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. The earth is our mother, she will take care of us. The earth is our mother, she will take care of us. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. The sky is our father, we will take care of him. The sky is our father, we will take care of him. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. The sea is our sister, we will take care of her. The sea is our sister, we will take care of her. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. The forest is our brother. We will take care of him. The forest is our brother. We will take care of him. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan.
This hymn is attributed to the Hupa tribe of Northern California. We sing this to remind us that we are stewards of the earth. As the indigenous people of Turtle Island stewarded it for thousands of years prior to colonization and continue to care for it today and always. And now I'd like to introduce Nizoni Begay, who is going to talk to us about the Water Protectors Legal Collective. She's also joining us remotely, so if we can pin her and highlight her, that would be terrific. Thank you.
And good morning, everyone. Nijana Begay Yanishia, Nakai Nishle, Hashichin, Bashichin, Nakai Dashiche, Torachini Dashanele. My name is Nijoni Begay. I am Diné, Navajo, and Quechua. I was born for the Hashklishni Mud Clan and Torachini Bitter Water Clan. I am also the Communications and Development Coordinator at the Water Protector Legal Collective and a recent grad from Stanford. I met Joshua and Aimee during my graduation ceremony, which happened 2 years late because of COVID. And my previous work involves workers' rights, and I used to do research at the Martin Luther King Junior Research and Education Institute. Born out of the No DAPL movement, the Water Protector Legal Collective, or WPLC, is an Indigenous-led legal nonprofit that provides support and advocacy for Indigenous peoples and original nations, the earth, and climate justice movements. There is a clear link between climate change and racial justice, and our work spans several movements. Today, I'll be highlighting our work on the ground representing water protectors at Line 3, representing water protectors at Standing Rock, and how we provide public legal education on recent Supreme Court decisions. First, the Line 3 pipeline snakes from Canada to Minnesota, crossing Monument Fields, wild rice fields, central to Anishinaabe traditions, and hundreds of rivers, lakes, and wetlands. So first, the Line 3 pipeline snakes from Canada to Minnesota, crossing Monument Fields, wild rice fields, central to Anishinaabe traditions, and hundreds of rivers, lakes, and wetlands. Tar sands oil is some of the most carbon-intensive oil because of its extraction and refining requirements. Line 3 is the carbon pollution equivalent of 50 coal-fired power plants, 50. Pipeline construction threatens sacred waters, as well as the treaty-guaranteed ability to hunt, fish, and gather from intact ecosystems, and engage in religious and cultural practices central to Anishinaabe peoples. Last year, in the face of activist pressure, multiple lawsuits, and years of regulatory uncertainty, Enbridge built its Line 3 pipeline in record time. Enbridge is a Canadian fossil fuel corporation that owns the Line 3 tar sands pipeline. By working around the clock, they were able to evade permit restrictions and build. As expected, Indigenous peoples and their allies held ceremony and protested against Line 3. Enbridge has a history of spills that indicate the likelihood of future spills. There have been at least 28 documented frackouts from the Line 3 pipeline alone, with more suspected and unreported. The construction of the Line 3 pipeline has caused irreversible environmental damage along its route. Line 3 has also brought concerns of increased rates of violence against Indigenous peoples, where fossil fuel companies have camps of workers called man camps. In proximity to these man camps threatens the safety of Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit peoples and relatives. Recently, 3 Indigenous water protectors from the Firelight Camp at Line 3 have had their criminal cases dismissed in a major legal victory for Indigenous sovereignty and treaty reserved rights through our fellow Claire Glenn, who works with us in the Civil Liberties Defense Center. We hope to continue this fight in court. Secondly, and since you learned so much about DAPL with that great video previously, I'm just going to go right into it. Tiger Swan is a private military company and security company sent to Standing Rock to police the construction of DAPL, which was hired by Energy Transfer Partners. They used counterterrorism tactics to silence and suppress Indigenous-led protests during the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline, and leaked documents revealed that Tiger Swan regularly used language such as terrorists when referring to protesters, attacks when referring to protests, and battlefields when referring to resistance camps. These acts of violence against peaceful and ceremonial protest need to be held accountable. In July, we submitted a shadow report to the United Nations Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, also known as UNCERD, in collaboration with the International Organization for Self-Determination and Equality. We detailed the use of Tiger Swan private military forces by the company behind the Dakota Access Pipeline, Energy Transfer Partners, at Standing Rock as a weapon against the No DAPL movement and water protectors. And we testified at the 107th session of the Examination of the United States held earlier this month in Geneva. We represented over 800 water protectors from Standing Rock, most of these cases ending in victory for them and the No DAPL movement. The civil rights case Dundon v. Kirschmeyer is an ongoing federal civil rights class action lawsuit filed by 9 named plaintiffs on behalf of hundreds of water protectors who were injured by law enforcement in 2016 at Standing Rock. At least 200 water protectors were injured and dozens hospitalized from Backwater Bridge. Water cannons were used in freezing weather conditions against water protectors, and we just filed an appeal in Dundon in the 8th Circuit. And finally, WPLC creates space for transparent legal knowledge that is accessible to all demographics. We understand that not everyone learns in the same way. In addition to our legal work and press releases, we educate through online webinars, social media posts, and emails to our mailing list. We hope to strengthen the knowledge of domestic and international issues and climate activism. A lot of the legal language can be very dense, and it is our mission to make this legal work and legislation that affects the masses accessible. With recent Supreme Court decisions, we have been translating and sharing what has been happening to Indian country and beyond from our Indigenous perspective. Additionally, we have created a public comment how-to guide and are currently working on breaking down the historic legal support in the form of 21 amicus briefs in favor of the Indian Child Welfare Act, which we brought to the Supreme Court in November. WPLC has also been involved in many other legal struggles, including serving on Stephen Donzinger's appellate team and supporting legal communications in the Amber Ortega case at the US-Mexico border. The desecration of land isn't new to Indigenous communities and is often, if not always, deeply personal. My maternal grandfather is from a silver mining town, Cerro de Pasco, Peru, that is now literally sinking and plagued by pollution. Children are born with lead poisoning, and our Indigenous communities, our homes, deserve better. The fact that where you are from or what community you belong to can determine whether you have access to clean water is abhorrent. Whether it's prisoner support at the San Quentin Sweat Lodge, advocacy for the Indigenous peoples of Hawaii, holding close political prisoners like Jessica Resnicek and Leonard Peltier, or legal victories in the Santa Fe Obelisk case, the Water Protector Legal Collective is here to serve the movement and its water protectors, land defenders, knowledge keepers, and their allies. For more information, please visit us at www.waterprotectorlegal.org and find us on social media. Thank you so much. Ahiahe.
Thank you so much, Najoni. We really appreciate all the work that you're doing, as well as all the information that you've shared with us today. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you again. So we are the water protectors. Why is water protection a Mara issue? Why is water protection a racial justice issue? Well, I think you all know a little bit about Flint, Michigan, but I'm going to share that it's a city in Michigan where more than 60% of the population is BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, or people of color. A city with high unemployment and poverty rates. They had a public health crisis that started in 2014 after the drinking water for the city was contaminated with lead and possibly Legionella bacteria. In April 2014,
Hello,
2014,
creative challenge.
in April 2014, during a budget crisis, Flint changed its water source from treated Detroit water and sewage department water to the Flint River. Residents complained about the taste, smell, and appearance of the water. Officials had failed to apply corrosion inhibitors to the water, which resulted in lead from aging pipes leaching into the water supply. It exposed around 100,000 residents to elevated lead levels. And scientific studies confirmed that lead contamination was present in the water supply. The city did switch back to the Detroit water system in 2015 and later signed a 30-year contract with the Great Lakes Water Authority in 2017, but the damage was already done. Between 6,000 and 12,000 children were exposed to high levels of lead in their drinking water. Children are particularly at risk from long-term effects of lead poisoning, which can include a reduction in intellectual functioning and IQ, and an increased chance of Alzheimer's disease. The Flint water disaster called attention to the problem of aging and seriously neglected water infrastructure nationwide. The Flint crisis recalled recent lead contamination crises in the tap water in various cities, such as lead contamination in Washington, D.C. drinking water in 2001, Columbia, South Carolina in 2005, Durham and Greenville, North Carolina in 2006, Jackson, Mississippi in 2015, Sebring, Ohio in 2015. And the New York Times notes that although Congress banned lead water pipes 30 years ago, between 3.3 million and 10 million older ones remain, primed to leach lead into tap water by forces as simple as jostling during repairs or a change in water chemistry. The Flint River is still contaminated. But what is a water protector anyway? Well, water protectors are activists, organizers, and cultural workers focused on the defense of the world's water and water systems. The water protector name and style of activism arose from Indigenous communities during the Dakota Access Pipeline protests at Standing Rock Indian Reservation, which began with an encampment on LaDonna Brave Bull Allard's land in April 2016. Water protectors are different because the philosophy and approach is rooted in an Indigenous cultural perspective that sees water and land as sacred. This relationship with water moves beyond simply having access to clean drinking water and comes from the beliefs that water is necessary for life and that water is a relative and therefore it must be treated with respect. As such, the reasons for protection of water are older, more holistic, and integrated into the larger cultural and spiritual whole than in most modern forms of environmental activism, which may be more based in seeing water and other extractive resources as commodities. Historically, water protectors have been led by or composed of women because as water provides life, so do women. Historically, women are also most damaged by oil pipeline construction. The man camps that Najoni was talking about, they come to build the pipelines, are where many missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls disappear. My tribe, the Wampanoag people, is from the place where the ocean meets the land. We know the power and danger of water. Thousands of years ago, our people depended on the oceans, rivers, and rains for fishing, travel by machine, which is a type of dug-out canoe, watering crops, and as a tool for making wampum and much more. My grandfather told me that the ocean heals all wounds, and he was right. The first thing any good medical professional does is rinse your wound with saline, the medical equivalent of tears. What does all this have to do with us, though, as the UUs of FPC? Well, to begin with, Stowe has its own water protection issues, PFAS contamination in the groundwater, which impacts the water here in our very own building. And as UUs in general, let's reflect on our second principle: justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. UU Minister Reverend Emily Gage says, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations points us towards something beyond inherent worth and dignity. It points us to the larger community. It gets at collective responsibility. It reminds us that treating people as human beings is not simply something we do one-on-one, but something that has systemic implications and can inform our entire cultural way of being. Compassion is something that we can easily do individually. We can demonstrate openness, give people respect, and treat people with kindness on our own, but we need one another to achieve equity and justice. Justice, equity, and compassion are all part of the same package. Just as the second principle overlaps with the first, so is it related to the seventh principle, the interdependent web of all existence. And regarding the seventh principle, some words from Reverend Forrest Gilmore. Our seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence, is a glorious statement. Yet we make a profound mistake when we limit it to merely an environmental idea. It is so much more. It is our response to the great dangers of both individualism and oppression. It is our solution to the seeming conflict between the individual and the group. Our seventh principle may be our Unitarian Universalist way of coming to fully embrace something greater than ourselves. The interdependent web, expressed as the spirit of life, the ground of all being, the oneness of all existence, the community forming power, the process of life, the creative force, even God, can help us develop that social understanding of ourselves that we and our culture so desperately need. It is a source of meaning to which we can dedicate our lives. When we fight for water, we fight for all of us. We protect children from drinking water poisoned with lead. We stand with Indigenous people to prevent oil from contaminating sacred lands. We remember that we are made of water ourselves. So I hope that you all are with me as humans, as UUs, as water protectors. We are the people we've been waiting for. And our closing words are from Margaret Atwood. Water does not resist. Water flows. When you plunge your hand into it, all you feel is a caress. Water is not a solid wall. It will not stop you. But water always goes where it wants to go, and nothing in the end can stand up against it. Water is patient. Dripping water wears away a stone. Remember that, my child. Remember, you are half water. If you can't go through an obstacle, go around it. Water does. And our closing song is We Shall Be Known. It's written by Ma Muse, and the performers are going to introduce themselves in the video, so I will let them do that.
For Sustain Us. My name is Kyle Lemley, and this is the Thrive East Bay Choir that I founded and co-direct, and our role in life is to provide the music for the revolution. So we host and are of service to an activist church of sorts that's non-denominational called Thrive East Bay, and we also are starting a street choir, and we're being the music in the streets for different direct actions across the country, including at the People's Climate March on April 29th. And we thought we would just give you a little flavor of what type of stuff that we might bring to the UN in November. So this one's called Great Turning. It's by Ma Muse. And it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle around to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle around to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. Yay. Thanks. Bye.
Isn't Thrive Choir great? I love that song so much. Thank you all for joining us today. I do have a sheet for signing up for Mara if you want to get on our mailing list, and also some more information about the art that you can see here. And you can talk to me or to Maggie, who's another person on the Indigenous Peoples Day steering subcommittee, or to Kris, who's on our Mara steering committee as well. We are so glad you're here. Thank you. Have a great day.